Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to episode 5 of More You Know Mondays. We're talking about price variance today. This is Jeff from HardToComeBuy.
This is Shelby from Shelby Comics.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right. Man, we got a lot going on. It's been a busy week. We've both been real busy with everything. So we just kind of cram this in. We're going to give you as much information as we can. We've got the giveaway, my 1,000 subscriber giveaway from Instagram. We're going to be doing that live a little bit later in the episode. Plus, we're going to do some cool giveaways. You know how we do it. Every episode theme we do, we usually do a giveaway. So there's going to be some price variant giveaways we're going to do here. Shelby, what's been going on with you this whole week?
Man, it's only Monday, and I feel like it should be Wednesday or Thursday. I've been so busy. Last week I squeezed in a couple of extra auctions. You and I were on Thunder's auction together, and then Thunder came on Gorilla Todd's auction on Saturday. And
oh, nice.
And then yesterday I had stuff that I do for a charity. That kept me a little bit busy, and then today.
Nice. What charity? What charity?
It is for addicts and such. So yeah,
very cool, man.
Something that's close. I'm in recovery myself. Which
that's awesome.
I let people know, because you never know who may be needing help, and reached out. I've actually had a few people online reach out. Every now and then I will drop my anonymity, but to let people know that no matter what happens, you can overcome some of those demons. And in about 7 days, I'll have 11 years clean.
That's awesome, man! Congratulations.
I got 7 more days to go, so don't congratulate me.
I'm not.
But
you're only 10 years and some months now. That's not good.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome, man. Congratulations on that.
Thanks.
Yeah, I said we got had a busy week over here as well. Obviously, we had the second episode that I did for the how-to, where I interviewed Nerd to Ween and a movie podcast, how to start a podcast. So that was yesterday. Obviously, we did the Thunder Gods, Thunderdome auction. Next Sunday, we got the Samurai Sunday auction. And then Thursday, obviously, we've got, Thunders again. So a lot of things going on. Big shout out to everyone on live right now. Gorilla Todd,
Gorilla Todd.
Appreciate you showing up. Toy Hunter NJ, New Jersey. He dropped a great new podcast. He started a podcast about Mego toys and the history of Mego toys.
What?
We actually had the owner on.
What?
So it was really cool history about that.
What? So, where was that at?
Yeah, it's on his podcast. So check him out. Go to his Instagram. He's got the link in there. It's on Anchor. So it was a really cool episode. So anything toy, history related, comic related, or food related, I'm there. So that was pretty cool.
I agree. I think that might be the hierarchy too: comics, toys, and food.
I'm with you, man.
Yeah. Wow. Hold on. I need to write that down. So who is that? Scarecrow?
That's Toy Hunter NJ.
Toy Hunter and wow.
Yep. Go check that out.
If you ever want a guest, I mean, I know a little bit about toys, or at least putting them on shelves,
Well, I told him when he mentioned he was doing it, I'm like, man, I used to have all the Mego figures back growing up, and I didn't know a whole lot of the history. And to hear all that, and to hear, how he actually was inventing a lot of games and developing games and toys was really cool. And they were the first company to do licensing. So it was really cool hearing about that. So,
yeah, they were. They started in 1952, if I remember. The father,
the 50s,
and then the son took over in 1970, 72.
He was the one on the show. Yeah.
After he got his MBA. And really start all the licensing and stuff. They took a lot of, what was really innovative with Mego in terms of manufacturing was that so many parts were interchangeable across their action figures, so that it kept their production costs low. And so they were able to really, Sometimes you'll see like, oh, Starsky and Hutch's head looks just like the same head as, something else, but it was, it was painted different, and the same body, right? Same body style across all the Migos and stuff. They just changed the heads, but
yeah, he goes into all that, and they talk about all that stuff, so it's pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah. Scarecrow's Comic Asylum. Hey, welcome. I know you're starting a YouTube channel as well, so let us know when you drop that.
Yeah, I had someone hit me up today asking about
That's probably Scarecrow, right?
It may have been asking if they could drop the name, and
yep,
told them I would be any help and stuff at all,
Yeah.
So,
all right. So let's go into the first thing right here. We know we want to try and keep it under an hour, but we know it never seems to stay under an hour. We go off a tangent, especially when we talk about toys.
We're pretty close.
All right, we had an awesome episode last week over on Shelby's channel. So make sure if you're not subscribed to Shelby, make sure you go over there as well. But what kind of updates did you get from that?
Let's see. Last week we talked about.
So long ago, right?
I know, right? What did we talk about last week? Oh my God.
I'm just letting you flounder for a little bit here.
Yeah, it's like put a thing on my head. It's like, brain hit that blank spot.
Was it Newsstands and Direct? Was it
Newsstands and Direct? No. Yes, it was. It was.
Trying to give you a hint.
I tell you what I did have a lot of comments about this week was a lot of people talking to me about Mark Jewelers. So I'm not sure if maybe people are just kind of catching up with our first episode.
Yeah, but the views on that one's been going up quite a bit. So yeah, I think some people have been watching that.
Yeah, I know that there were some Mark Jewelers offered on Gorilla Todd's auction. And I tell you, some of the highest prices I've seen for jewelers in a while, and a lot of people making comments about, Mark Jewelers, and seems like some people are getting into the different color of the advertisements and stuff and trying to figure that out. So yeah, I like a lot of them. Yeah, I like seeing some of the different things, and some people had reached out to me about that. I did have a person, you knew this, but a person did catalog all the Mark Jewelers for DCs, and no one cataloged all of them for Marvel before. So that is something I would like to try and do. I just know it's a very big effort, but you still see with a Newsstand and Direct, I still seen a lot of people on auctions and stuff, like hold up something from 1985 and go, hey, it's a Newsstand, and I'm just like, yeah, 50% of the print run was Newsstand, No,
it's better when they do like the 1970s one, like, oh, it's a Newsstand. Well, all Newsstand.
Yeah. Well, and then you put up for sale last Thursday, I think, some Wolverines that were like late 90s, early 2000s.
Early 2000s, which are rare.
These are Newsstands, and they are rare, less than maybe 5% of the print run. And no one jumped on those, but people still fall for. I don't mean this to make it sound like that. I mean, don't.
No, it's still, still good. You collect what you love.
But but people still seem to make a make a
big deal.
Maybe a big deal. I was trying to think of something a little bit less than that, but of things that were put out in late 80s, early 90s. I apologize. Brain.
No, it's been a long week. We know. Hey, Comic Lounge. Yeah, appreciate you showing up. If you want to go back on Shelby's channel to check out, we did the whole episode about Newsstand versus Direct, and we go through some different numbers you may not have seen or heard in the past. But you're absolutely right. The newsstand ones, are a little bit harder in the higher grades. So depending on what you're talking about, if it is a high grade mints compared to some of the other ones, and some of like the CBCS numbers, really kind of show that, there's a very lower percentage of that out there. Unfortunately, CGC doesn't really do it unless, flowing into this episode, it's a price variant. So we're going to talk about that right now too.
Yeah. So just really quickly, what we did try to do though is show the origin of that argument, right? There's two arguments. One,
right,
that newsstands are a lower print run. Second is it's harder to find high grade copies of newsstands. Those are your two arguments of why newsstands should demand a higher price. We, in our episode, discussed the origin of those two arguments. We did some of our own independent research looking at whether that was true. And I don't know. I mean, I think it's up for each person to make their own decision. All we did is try to put the information out there a little bit. So,
yeah, that's said. There's a lot of information that's in that episode there, and we'll keep adding to it as we get more information, as things kind of develop more in the industry. Our plans are to not just do one video and just be done with it. As we get more information, we can do an episode 3.1 or 2.2 or whatever happens to be to kind of expand on that. We want to definitely do that. So any comments or anything else, or any more information you might have that you didn't see in the episode, feel free to share with us. Shoot us a DM and let us know. We're more than willing to listen and bring some more information on. Or if you got specific knowledge in certain areas, we'd love to get some guests on the show as well. So certainly let us know. In this episode, we're going to focus more on the price variants, which pretty much are newsstands. They're going to be price variants. Sands Group, what's up? Appreciate you come by dropping those cookies. Thanks a lot, man. Let's get going a little bit into here.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, I have not had a chance to look over this, so I'm as excited as hopefully everybody in the chat is. What's up, Captain Ramius? Hello, Cookie Man, and everybody else that maybe I have not acknowledged yet. So,
all right. So there's been a lot of obviously price variants that have happened throughout the years and price increases. We're really only going to focus on a couple of main ones on this episode here. And again, if there's a lot of demand, you want some more information on something else, certainly let us know. Comment down below. If you're watching us on the replay, make sure you comment down below as well, and then just shoot us a message. Now, we're going to really focus on the 30-cent price variant, the 35% one, which happened just a year later. So you started in 1976, and then in 1977 it happened again. And then that whole span in the 80s when we're talking about the Canadian price variants from 1982 to 1986. And the reasons why you hear more about that than maybe some of the other ones. And then what a lot of people didn't know, and I didn't actually a whole lot to know about this until I started doing more research on it, is the newsstand ones in the late 90s and then the 2000s. So there are some pretty rare ones that you're going to find in 1999 for just a few month period. And then from 2000 to 2010, there's a nice chunk of price variance there that you're going to be able to see. And if you look through your collection, you might actually have some. And those are going to be worth a little bit more.
Start digging.
Yep. And Shelby's going to be pulling out his big stack of price variance to show you. As we kind of mentioned with the newsstand stuff, I just want to do a quick quote. We mentioned Jim Shooter a lot in the last episode about newsstands, getting a lot of our sources directly from him, because obviously he was in charge of that whole time frame when we're talking about the newsstands. So he just basically talked about how important in the beginning the newsstands were for comic stores, because it really casted that big net of people going to a store picking up an issue. As we all kind of know now, you can't complete a whole run, going to your local, at the time, Barnes and Noble or something like that to pick up a comic. You might pick up one and then you'd be like, oh, I really like this one. And then you don't see the next one there, or comes out months later because there's a delay on that. So it helped drive people to the comic book shops, the specialty shops. And that's what they kind of found out. And that's why they kind of stayed with it for as long as I think they did. Because I guess the numbers they were looking at really showed more of that halo effect of really driving people in there. And that's why we see towards the tail end of that newsstand run, they just keep increasing the price because they're like, well, if we're going to make this work, we're going to make it, worth our while basically, and keep increasing the price.
Yeah, really quick, let me acknowledge, hey, Barbarian Kung Fu, so glad to see you, buddy. We've missed you in the community. And Scarecrow, thank you for your kind words. Yeah, a little something about Jim Shooter real quick. Jim was the one that actually kind of helped Chuck with his information or filling in some holes when they talked about newsstands versus direct. But Jim is a pretty big comic historian himself, right? He started as a very young teenager in fanzines and writing in letters to Marvel. And I think one of his very first published stories was when he's like 12 or 13 to DC Comics.
Oh, really?
And they didn't know he was that young. And then ended up offering him a job. And they're like, oh, wait a minute, we can't hire you. You're like 15 years old. And they ended up giving him like an office job. But and then he moved over to Marvel as editor-in-chief and such. But very, very big comic historian that was involved in the industry for a long time.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like I said, it's more than just Marvel. He knows a lot.
Yeah.
So the first one, obviously, we're going to focus on is the 30-cent variant. Those are the ones that are definitely easy to see. They're called out nice and big on there. It was 186 issues that they did all this across. And they really focused on test markets. And the real reason that they're looking at these is, one, they want to gauge what kind of sales hit they might take for doing that, so they know how many copies to print, going in the full distribution wide. So they knew obviously they were going to increase the price. They just want to know how many they're going to print for future runs. There's a couple different variations of the different bubbles of the 30-cent callouts, and how some of them are kind of sloppy and kind of put on there, and some are look a little bit better, and some are kind of sneaky. If you see the Daredevil one, the 132 at the bottom of the screen right there, that looks like, if you don't know, that looks like a normal comic. You don't know that's a price variant.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go for it.
Okay. So, yeah, I have, like, here's
my collection.
Here's my small collection of, and I do mean that, and I don't mean it facetiously. These are my 30-cent price variants that I have in my collection, because this is something we knew about back in the 80s that were around. Like Jeff said, I think there's some misinformation out there that they were doing it as test markets to see if they could raise the price. But notice the explosion. Normally what you'd have here is the steel only 25 cents. So they knew they were raising the price. They just wanted to see how much of an impact it would have on sales in order to get more correct numbers to their printers. So you'll see that variation. You'll also see maybe something like this, where it's the inverted black. You might see something like this with the large yellow circle. And I had a sneaky one in here a minute ago. Oh, you might even see something like this, which is almost like a Whitman type of thing, where they put the name of the comic there. But oh yeah, here's a sneaky. So that's a price variant. And one way you can always tell price variants, since there are so numerous, is if you look on the inside in the indicia, it will still say 25 cents. So right here, if you look in the indicia, let's see if I can get it up there. There we go. Oh, it almost did it. It says price 25 cents per issue, but obviously, it's 30 cents on the cover. So that is always one way to make sure it is a price variant if you're unsure. And it is a very specific year, like Jeff said. So if I look at this should be 1975.
Should be 76.
76, sorry. Yeah. And it is 1976. So I find even low grade copies of anything. I'm not sure of any keys that's in the 30-cent price range, but low grade copies will usually cost about 25 or so dollars. High grade copies can definitely go much higher. So I have a few slabbed. So this is probably my highest grade, a 9.0 Son of Satan.
Nice.
Yeah, Son of Satan #4. It's really nice. And Avengers, this one I actually got from our buddy Thunder God. So
yeah,
very happy to have that. And the only 35-cent I have in my collection is this one. So this is the only 35-cent price variant I have. 30 cents seem to be more plentiful. I'm not sure if that's true, but I don't see 35 cents very much. Yep. And this is the only one I have in my collection. Maybe Jeff knows a little more.
Yep. So for the Barbarian Kung Fu, just to answer your question there, and actually I'm kind of slacking and putting these up 1 second here. So the question is not the Howard the Duck one. It is there a resource that identifies all the books that made price variance for? Yes. There's a couple of ones. There's one I've got lists on there, the sellmycomicbooks.com. If you look in there, they do a really good job of listing out all of the 30-cent price variances there. The 1976 30-cent price variance, those were 186 issues, so they are a little bit more plentiful than the 1977 35-cent ones that we'll see in a minute. The thing I think that makes this one more collectible, there's definitely a niche group of people, like myself and Shelby, that like collecting these because it's easy call out. You see it on the cover, it looks different, it looks kind of cool. It's part of the history. A lot of people really have gravitated towards that, and that really has become popular a lot more in the past 10, 20 years, where you don't see that quite as much for like the 35-cent ones and some of the other ones, because we'll see they're more sneaky about it. It doesn't look any different. And I think that's partly a reason why we don't see a whole lot of them out there, because I don't think people even identify them. When I was going through eBay and looking for a few things, I actually found a couple of ones listed as just a regular comic, not as a price variant or anything, as a 35-cent price variant. It was just a regular comic listed on there. So there's definitely, I think, some not misinformation. People are just not informed to know what a price variant really is.
Yeah. And so, by the way, you won't find them now because Jeff already got them.
I did buy a couple. I did buy a couple. So there may be some more out there, but it really does take a lot. And the thing with those is there's, like Shelby said, there's not a ton of keys when we're talking about those. Unlike the Canadian price variants in the 80s that we're going to see, where there's a large chunk of keys, that kind of make them really collectible. We'll kind of see that one. So for the 1977 one, like we're talking about, Wild Comics, what's going on? Welcome to the show. Welcome to Price Variance here. The 1977 35-cent ones, obviously the Star Wars one, everyone kind of knows about. It's kind of a famous one out there. But there really were no price call-outs on that. It was just done for, again, that single year. It was only 184 titles, so a couple less titles than the 76 version. And I'm not sure. I couldn't find a reason, and Shelby, maybe why the 30-cent one was very bold, very dramatic. Hey, this is more expensive than it's not still 25 cents anymore. And when they switched over to the 35-cent one, it was just like, hey, it's still a test market. They still put them out in limited areas, but they kind of like snuck it in under the radar there.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily a thing of them purposely doing that. It's just that when these price variants were coming out, at the same time, they had the steel 25-cent explosion on the cover. And like we talked about, I think in episode 1, is they have to make another plate in order to replace the price on these.
Right.
And making plates are very expensive, and it'd be the black plate. but you would have the black plate that would do the cover. Then you would have a black plate that did the still 25 cents. Then you'd have to have a third black plate that did the price variant. So it wasn't that they necessarily try to call it out. It's just, it was that explosion thing was already there, and they just replaced the black plate. You know, so we didn't see that explosion thing of like, hey, still 30 cents, right? There wasn't any comics that said still 30 cents. So the 35 cents are a little bit, yeah, like you said, I think that's a good word, sneaky. And y'all be careful too, because there are Whitman variants that are 35 cents.
Right.
So do not confuse Whitman variants that are 35-cent cover price with the 35-cent variant. And I have seen sellers, and I'm not saying they're doing it on purpose, I'm saying they're doing it because they aren't knowledgeable, try to sell Whitman 35-cent variant or Whitman variants that are cover price 35 cents as the 35-cent variant. They are not. So if it has the diamond and 35 cents, that is not what we're talking about. We're talking about what Jeff is showing on the screen. So be very, very careful with that when you're out there looking. And I didn't know this, but apparently there's a number 2 that's also a 35-cent price variant. I've never seen one up until a week ago.
Really?
I saw one listed, and CGC called it out in the label as a price variant. I thought they had already gone to 35 cents for the run, you know, at Star Wars number 2, but I don't know. I don't know if it's a mislabel or what, but just be careful out there, buyers, and do a little research.
Yeah, that's one of the things that, you know, CGC is not perfect. There's quite a few errors that they put on labels that eventually they usually catch it and change. So I'm wondering if that's one of them, because I wasn't familiar with that either. But maybe it's something new.
Well, and, you know, CGC has that thing of you can put a note when you send something in, and they used to make it a habit if you put a sticky on there, like this is the first appearance of so-and-so, they would put it in the label.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So maybe an older CGC case where you're saying is someone put that on there.
Maybe. So
that could be. Yeah, I have heard of that before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to answer a couple of questions, Captain Ramos, I have not heard of any price increases of a 30 to 35 cents, and they found the sales dropped completely off and went back to 25. I'm wondering, because there is that difference of in 1976, there was 186 titles that they used. And then 1 year later, they dropped it by a couple of titles to 184. I'm wondering if those couple ones that got that price bump were maybe not heavily printed comics already. And then the price jump maybe sent them down a little further, and they pretty much said it's not worth printing anymore. So there could be a couple that fell off, but I haven't heard of any actually go back in price. So that'd be the only thing I can probably say on that.
Yeah, and I think we need to be careful when we're saying titles here, because Marvel wasn't producing 184 titles. They were producing, I think, 40 or 50 different titles, but it was across multiple months. Right. So it may be Amazing Spider-Man across 3 months, period, right? Which then it adds up to 184 different books.
Right. Good call off that.
Yeah.
Good clarification on that. And then we come to Canadian price variance. So the cool thing about Canadian price variance, it obviously goes on for a couple of years. You know, it's expanding in the 80s. So you've got a lot of keys. You got a couple of keys you're going to see on here, you know, with the Batman. You have Secret Wars, Amazing Spider-Man, Thor. So these are all going to be newsstands, are going to be the Canadian price variants. So when you're looking at those, I've got an example of the X-Men 162, which is the direct copy. And if you see where it says 60 cents there, it actually lists the Canadian 75 cent at the bottom of there, underneath the 60 cent. So they did that for direct, but for newsstands, they didn't. The newsstands, they printed it separate and changed out the price plate there and put 75 cents. And then it went to 95 cents and $1, again, depending on which year it was and what was the regular cover price on that. And that really was due to the exchange rate spike that happened, between the Canadian dollar and the American dollar. So they were just getting killed. So they had to find a different way of doing it. Again, I'm not entirely sure why they didn't do the same thing they did for direct as they did for newsstand, but they decided just to do a separate one for the Canadian one, newsstands. The thing that makes them a little bit more rare on top of it is when we're talking about Canada at that time, we're talking about a population that's smaller than California. So it's a lower print run distributed just in newsstands, across Canada. So again, when we talk about rarity, we'd like to throw out that less than 5%. So that less than 5% fits for the Canadian price variance of these. And again, the cover price has a pretty good complete list of there. You can also go to My Comic Shop has a good list as well if you look on there. And then, of course, the CGC or CBCS will have some lists on there that kind of list all of them out for you. But those are definitely ones that we're going to show you later in the Show Me the Money section, where some of these do go for quite a bit premium when you're talking about these Canadian price variants on there. You will also see a lot of these more in the towns closer to the border. So the further north you kind of get, we're talking about Detroit or even, Minneapolis, you tend to find a lot more in those areas. So if you ever go to towns that are closer to Canada up there, you'll tend to find a lot more of them. Just kind of like when Mark Jewelers, if you go to comic book shops that are around military bases, you'll tend to find more Mark Jewelers there than you will in other areas. What do you got, Shelby?
Oh, I was just going to say, I think I only have 2 books in my collection that are Canadian price variants. An Alpha Flight #1, and I think I have the Batman there. But normally I sold Return of the Jedi number 2 and 3 that were Canadian price variants, and I got about $90 each for them. So, definitely you're probably talking about 3 times the amount of money. They were in high grade too. So, again.
So if you're looking to sell stuff, obviously you want to be aware of those things because you can get a premium. And if you're buying things for your collection, you can either be kind of a completist and you want all the different varieties of variants of a comic, or you just kind of see things in the wild and you're looking through it and you're like, hey, this is not supposed to be 75 cents. And that's really kind of the hard part is, okay, first it's easy. It's a newsstand. So, a newsstand, you look for that to begin with. But then you got to realize, okay, if it is an 82 to 86, and should it be a 60 cents or 75 cents? So, it's something that's sometimes harder to pick out. And why a lot of times, even on eBay listings, you'll find people not even mentioning, that it is a Canadian price variance. Again, it's just kind of knowing, the more you know.
The Alpha Flight I have, I think, is $1.25, where the U.S. version is $1, if I remember right. So, sometimes you don't even really look at it and think about it as being different because it looks just like the U.S. You
couldn't even tell.
Printing, so.
Just like the 35-cent price variance, if you're not looking for it, you'll easily overlook it. And Barbarian Kung Fu, we did a whole episode on Mark Jewelers, and definitely there always going to be newsstands on there. So that's a good call out as well.
Yep, I'm glad you found us, Tony. Tony just messaged me on IG like, "What time is it?"
Tony,
right now.
How's it going?
So good to see you, Tony and Y. And I think Thunder's trying to find us. He's on his TV, and he's like, I don't see it on your channel. It's like, we're on Jeff's channel this week.
We switch back and forth. Every week we go on each other's channels. So this week it's on mine. Next week we're going to be on Shelby's, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Again, just kind of looking at the Canadian price variance when we show that, hey, it's less than 5%. How rare does that really mean? If you look at the CGC data on there.
Maybe blow this up if you can.
What's that?
Maybe go ahead and blow this up if you can and talk about it. Because I can't.
That is a good question. I don't know if I can. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to. Okay. So I will just tell you.
I thought you could shrink us and just show this.
Let's see if we can do that.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay. So for here, talking about that Amazing Spider-Man 238, that awesome Hobgoblin, cover right there. For the regular, obviously, version of this, you've got, almost 5,900 CGC graded copies. And then you look at the Canadian price variance, you only got 150. That's total. So it's a huge difference. And then we look about, okay, is it harder to get them in higher grades? Well, you look at 489 for a regular non-variant and a 9.8, and then you only find 7, in a Canadian price variant. So it definitely is rarer, and it's harder to get there because there was a lot lower of them printed. Again, we're talking about less than 5%, smaller than California, being shipped out, and again, being newsstands. It is a little bit harder. Now, here's the interesting part where I didn't quite know as much about this. There's 2 chunks of different newsstand price variants that are out there. So from October 1999 to February 2000, so it's a few month time span that we're looking at here, there has been 6 titles so far that are found that have this price variant on there. So if you look at the particular issue right now, and this is all coming from CGC, so CGC is recognizing all this stuff. You've got the standard one, which is a $1.99 newsstand, and then you've got a $2.99 and a $2.29 and a $2.49. All the same issue, but different variants you're going to find on there. And again, there's only a few of them on there. So these are ones you got to kind of look out for. And the kind of list of those, here's the 6 that are kind of known right now. Oops, sorry. You got some Amazing Spider-Man, some Cable, Fantastic Four, Hulk, the Mighty Thor, and some X-Men. So again, not a whole lot of them. We're only talking about 32 issues total that are going to have this kind of unique, rare price variant on there. I know some people don't care about price variants. We talked about before, do people care about direct versus newsstand? It's 2 digits versus 4 digits on the other one. This is even less of a difference you can find. Because they're both going to be newsstands, and all the difference is that very small print at the bottom there is going to be is it $1.99 or $2.29? But because it's a price variant, CGC will actually break those out and call that out on their labeling. They don't usually call out newsstands unless there's something more to it, like a price variant. CBCS will call out newsstands no matter what. CGC does not. And for some reason, CBCS only does it to 2000, which again, I'm not sure why they do it till then, but that's what they decided they want to do. So if you have any of these particular issues in your collection right now, I would definitely take a look at those to see if you have any of those newsstands, if they are a price variant. So the variants are all newsstand. That's correct, Barbarian. They're all going to be newsstands here.
Yeah, now this isn't the same thing as... or is it that I know for a short time they had different prices between direct and newsstand? Is this the same thing?
No, this is even different than that, because this is still a newsstand, but it's a different price newsstand on top of it.
Oh.
So there's a regular newsstand for $1.99, and then there's a newsstand for $2.29 and a newsstand for $2.49. All newsstands, but 3 different prices for newsstands.
Okay. Yeah, because there was a short period of time, I think they were charging more for newsstand books versus direct, but the whole print run was, a different price, right? It's not like this.
Sure. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep. That's the next price variance that we're going to run into right now.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
You're jumping ahead. You know it. Look at you. So the next group that Shelby was mentioning, you got from about November 2008 till March of 2010. So that's going to be the different, they charge more for newsstands than they are for direct. So the direct you got on the left-hand side, that's going to be a $2.99. It's going to be called out as direct. And then the newsstand is going to be $3.99 listed on there. So the other one, I think they were testing out the newsstands, to see if they can raise the price of newsstands. And then the other one, Barbarian, are are either for the 2 more rare. They're both going to be extremely rare. I haven't found, because there's not a ton of data on them because they're not found too often. So I couldn't find anything saying was a 229 more rare than a 249. I'm guessing they're going to be about the same because it's probably in the same test markets they're probably doing it. But yeah, that's a great question. I can definitely look into that a little more, but I tried finding anything and I couldn't. The other one for here for this 2008 to 2010 direct versus newsstand price variance, it's running from, again, I just picked Amazing Spider-Man, from Amazing Spider-Man 568 to 618. So any of those Amazing Spider-Man run right there, they're going to have a newsstand variant price on that. It's different than the direct. So to do a comparison again, is the newsstands, harder to get or harder to find? Underneath the Mary Jane, J. Scott Campbell, awesome cover right there.
Oh, awesome cover.
Classic cover. You have 891 CGCs, total CGCs listed, only 24 in the newsstand price variant. And there's no 9.8s of this in a newsstand price variant. So it's definitely a lot more rare and it commands a pretty high premium, which we'll show in a minute. But yeah, I mean, it's, again, could be another testing because new directs went to the same price, shortly after each one of these. So it's pretty interesting how they're kind of doing that. And the other thing, let's see if people are paying attention. So looking at these ones down here, if you can see my cursor going around, the direct issue and the newsstand, what else do you see different about those two? So we'll wait for the 15-second delay. Actually, you know what? Whoever answers this is going to win a prize. So whoever gets this question right, you will win a comic, a price variant comic. So let me know what you see different between those two. Did you find it, Shelby?
Yeah. There's a couple of things, but I think I know what you're talking about.
Okay. Let's see if anyone else grabs it here. The direct no name. The barcode's definitely different.
Yeah, we know that.
You're close, Barbarian, with the direct no name. Shall we put the start line down? So you're close, Barbarian. Anyone else see the difference between the two? The writing on the side? What do you mean, K-pop? The barcode has a name on newsstand and direct copy in that. You're close, man. You're close.
Yep. Yeah, we know that.
There's just something very specific I'm kind of looking for here.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm pretty sure I know what it is.
Yeah, I'll let you know for this, or Shelby will let you know on this one, and we'll do another contest later. Let them know, Shelby.
Canadian.
No,
that's not it.
I mean, it is different. I'm sorry, it is different. But the thing I was going for, because I guess there is a couple different call outs on here, but the thing I was kind of going for on this one,
was
it is small print too.
Was this number?
No, let me try and blow it up again right here. You see where it says a direct edition right here?
Yeah.
And then the other side, it says Sensational Spider-Man, not Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh, I thought that said Newsstand Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's hard to see in there. That says Sensational Spider-Man.
Oh.
And the reason, if you take a look here, they started doing UPC recycling, Marvel did, on these later newsstands. They didn't even bother, buying new UPC codes. So if you look at X-Men Origins, it actually will say Iron Man for that UPC. You see Big Time Spider-Girl, it's actually going to say Avengers Classic.
Wow.
Nova, it actually says Uncanny X-Men on the side.
Wow.
So I thought that was pretty darn cool.
That is pretty cool.
So not only are these rare newsstands you're going to find, you've got these other variants on top of that of actually listing the wrong comic book because Marvel's like, we're not going to buy new UPC codes. we're just going to recycle what we have.
Yeah.
And put it right on the comic book. So yeah, that is pretty interesting when you're looking at those, trying to find these late 2000 newsstands. There's some pretty interesting things you can find.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And that's a habit that actually dates back to the 1940s. That's why you saw certain comics changing names, like for example, Strange Tales becoming Captain America. And that's because they didn't have to purchase a new UPC for it. So yeah.
Yeah, it all costs money. So save a little bit of money. Why not?
Yeah, very interesting.
So whoops. So to kind of go back, like I said, it's my favorite part of the show. I know a lot of you people like it, but it's the show me the money.
I need to feel you, Jerry. Show me the money. Jerry, you better yell. Show me the money.
So the show me the money part, where I go through and show you some of the differences here. And I just picked one comic from each one of the price variants that we were talking about here. Again, I didn't cherry pick stuff. I didn't look through it. It was the first couple ones that pop up. I usually will grab those, the ones I can find easily. So we talked about the 30-cent one, the one that a lot of people have been gravitating towards, that people try and collect them all. This one is the 30-cent one. We've got X-Men 99, cool issue. Not a super key or anything, but a cool issue. It sold March 14th, for $150 in the price variant and a CGC 6.0. And then just 2 weeks later, it sold for $60 on the non-price variant. So it was 150% premium because of price variant. So again, when you're looking for those things, yeah, it really does make a difference. People are and will pay more for those price variants. And like Shelby was saying, he sold a couple of them for quite a bit more, just because there is that diehard group of people that want that price variant on there and want the history of the comic. For the 35-cent one, the sneaky one that we're kind of calling it, the one that kind of snuck in there, there's very few of those that are actually CGC graded. Again, one part of that is because there's not a ton of keys in that run, but it is cool because it is a price variant on there. So this is just a raw copy, we're talking, of Marvel's Greatest Heroes, Marvel's Greatest Comics. It's not even a popular comic.
No, it's a reprint. It's a reprint of old Fantastic Four stories.
Yep. So April 9th, the 35-cent one of this comic sold for $50. And then just 20 days later, the non-price variant sold for $2. Plus, they were selling 3 other comics with it. So you got 4 comics for $2 in that one, but you've got the price variant one that someone sold for $50. So there's definitely a big swing in price there. You can see the premium that people are looking at. And again, a lot of people will not know that's even a price variant because it looks just like the regular one. So go through your collection, see if you got these newsstands, see if it's going to be a price variant, because you're only looking at those 2 years, 76 and 77. 77 is the sneaky one. So see if you got the 77s in there and take a look at that, because that is a big difference on there. Canadian price variants. Again, I'm not cherry picking. I picked the first one that came up on there, which is Secret Wars. Awesome issue. We all know it. We all love it. 9.6 sold for $260. And then on the same day, the non-Canadian price variant sold for $223. So you're basically only looking at a 17% premium. It's sold on the same day, so I think it's a little bit closer thing. So there's no other swings, that are coming through there. And this just sold, obviously. So again, if I would have picked a key, that difference gets bigger. But again, I'm just picking the ones that first pop up here, and you still can get a premium for these. And I actually think this was a good deal. I think they could have got a lot more for that one. K-Pop just started buying a ton of 60s and 70s comics. Make sure you look through those comics, K-Pop. And now we're talking about, when we talk about rare newsstands, we're talking about, the 2000s newsstands here. So you've got ASM 601 that we talked about, the awesome J. Scott Campbell cover, a 9.6, which is the highest grade that you can get in this right now. That sold on March 22nd for $406. And then just a couple days later, the non-price variant sold for $125. So we're talking a huge key on there. And a lot of people don't even know it. There was some of the websites I was doing the research on, they'll have some examples, and this was about a year ago. I know they're getting more popular and people are understanding a little bit more and are more knowledgeable. But they were showing eBay listings, live pictures they took of people with actually this issue that showed that they weren't even listing it as a newsstand, at all. It was just a regular comic. They were selling it for, I think, at the time, $40-$30. So yeah, if you see those, snatch them up. So there's definitely a premium there. And that's all I got for the price variant section right now. And I know we got a couple of giveaways. So I'm going to let Shelby talk for a few minutes here while I get the random comment picker ready. So you guys have just a couple minutes to go over to the last video I did here where it says the 1,000 subscriber giveaway. Comment on that because I'm about to pick the winner on that one right there. So what are your thoughts, Shelby?
I like I said to you earlier, is that normally if people, we've talked a little bit about how you and I work together, is, whomever channel it's on, they're responsible kind of putting together all the content. So it's not just one person, doing all the work. And that's definitely, has been great that you and I trade off like that. But there's a lot of stuff in here I didn't know. I mean, especially with the late 2000 stuff, because I just wasn't really collecting again yet, or I wasn't collecting modern stuff that much. I'm a silver and bronze age mainly collector, and I've picked up a few cool covers, here and there, but that is some interesting stuff about the late 2000s. Especially when we look at some of those percentages of newsstand to direct in the 2000s, and then all those different little variants. It's like, I start hunting on eBay and asking someone to send you high resolution pictures of the UPC code, right? So we can look at that. So what were you having people do? Comment below and
yeah, for the 1,000 Instagram Instagram sweepstakes kind of giveaway I'm doing as a thank you for the support and getting me over 1,000 from there and starting the new YouTube channel. I'm giving away the Berserker set right here. So you got
so you're doing the 1,000. You're doing the 1,000 giveaway right now?
Doing it right now.
Oh my God.
We're doing it live right now. And then we're going to do some more giveaways after this. So
that's exciting. Oh God.
So again, we appreciate everyone sticking around, listening to us talk about some nerd out on comic history. So we're going to try and do this live. I think I've loaded all the comments in there. Hey, if you commented on there, it looks like there's only, once I filtered out here, there's only 13 people that did it. So you've got a really good shot at winning some Berserker right now.
Oh.
So let's see who wins. Let's see if I did this right. I may not have done it right, but let's see. Joe M. Look at that. Congratulations on your success. IG post left as well. Thank you for the opportunity. Joe M., thank you very much, man. I don't know if you're in the live right now, but if not, I'll definitely reach out to you. And then I will get these out to you. Let me stop sharing the screen right here. Again, winning the Berserker set right here with some of the ratios and variants. I appreciate that. Congrats, man. And then let's do another little giveaway here. You have a trivia question you want to ask?
I'm actually looking to try to find a good trivia question right now for my giveaway. So you're maybe SOL for me on this.
Okay, I'll do a quick one here. So let me see if I can do this here. All right. So if anyone saw my post, I got a whole bunch of these cool, amazing Spider-Man skating on thin ice. Kids, say no to drugs. Drugs are bad, okay? Todd McFarlane. So you've got the regular issue right here. This is the U.S. edition. and this is the Canadian one. So if you see, or I got mixed up. There you go. That's a Canadian one. $1.25 Canadian, says Canada up there. And this is the US one, the $1.50 US one. So Todd McFarlane goodness. So the trivia question. Barbarian, I think you got this one right. What is the year range for Canadian price variance? So the first person to get me the range for Canadian price variance will win. Starting line has been dropped. Thunder God is here. Thunder, what's up, man?
Hey, Thunder finally found us.
So we got Matthew at 77 to 80. Nope, that's not the Canadian price variant.
Nope.
Carb Sharp. Nope. 77 to 79, not Canadian price variance.
Nope.
Who else has got it? 77 to 86.
Oh, that
you got one of the numbers right.
Captain
Randall said one of them. 77 to 78. Nope. Captain's got one number right. I don't recognize Canada as existing. 77 to 78. Nope. Okay, everyone's got. I'll give you a hint. The 86 is correct.
Yes.
Canadian price variance ended in 1986. When did it start? Toy Hunter is 83 to 88. Close. There we go. Shutterduck comes in.
All right.
That's who you got on your side too, right, Shelby?
Yeah.
All right, Shutterduck. I appreciate it. You got it. 1982 to 1986. So you're going to get copies here of the U.S. and Canadian price variance of Todd McFarlane Skating on Thin Ice. Because we do say drugs are bad here. And just in case you don't believe me.
Bobby, my stomach hurts. Oh, I'll give you some of Dad's medicine. It's real strong stuff.
That's a prescription for danger.
Doc!
Never take medicine without a grown-up present. You could do more harm than good.
What should we do?
If you can, wait for your parents. Or if it's serious, ask a neighbor for help.
Hey, Mom's home.
Now you'll get help.
And now we know what to do next time.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe!
We care for all of our watchers here, so we want to make sure that drugs are bad.
That's right. Okay, so y'all gonna think I'm crazy, but my last couple of giveaways, people didn't seem to think was good enough. Man,
It's giveaways. It's history.
I tried to give away the Big Little books, and the person that won them never even gave me their address, so I guess they didn't want them. I think Matthew won the punchlines last week. If you're still interested, Matthew, let me know and I can send those to you. But I think people just hadn't been excited. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm not giving away the cat. Quit asking.
You got plenty of them.
You'll need to give me a start line here in a moment.
Okay.
I'm going to give away a price variant. I'm going to give away a 30-cent price variant. Defenders number 34. This is probably about a fine plus. So it's about a $35, $40 book. So I'm going to give this away. So the trivia question is, which one of the Defenders characters spends half the day in a wheelchair? You got to really know your Defenders trivia to know that one. But he became leader of the team later on in the run, and because of his special suit, that only worked at night. He was able to walk and fly, but during the day, when his suit didn't work, he was in a wheelchair. And night is actually a hint.
It's a big hint.
Okay, Matthew. Yeah. If you weren't interested. Hey, Tony NY, Nighthawk.
Yes, indeed.
All right, you got it right. So Tony NY, I got books for you already. So but
Make it easy.
we ship out winnings, free shipping on winnings anyway. So we don't make you pay for that or anything. And Matthew is giving you his Punchline comics that he won last week. So I appreciate you on that, Matthew. They will be going to New York. So to Brooklyn.
That is awesome. Shutterdoc, hit me up on IG. Send me your information. I'll ship those out to you. Again, we want to thank everyone for joining us. We're at the hour mark again. Make sure, again, you subscribe to both channels because we go back and forth on here. And make sure we've got, Thursday night, we have the Thunder Gods auction. So make sure you're subbed him up as well. So we're over there on Thursday nights. And then the Sunday night, we got the Samurai Sunday auction. So check us out. That'll be on this channel. So right here. So stay here. We switch back and forth between Wild Comics Unboxing and right here. So check that out. We're going to have Matthew Fox is going to be on there as well. So I appreciate that. Shelby, what's going on with you this week?
Well, I think I'll be with you on Thursday on Thunder God, and I'm glad Thunder God finally found you. He'd been hitting me up over on IG, and I know what he does because sometimes I watch YouTube on my TV, and so it's hard to find. You IG someone the link, and it's like, well, I can't do that. So it's on my.
I'm growing.
It's on my I'm watching it on my TV. So every time he kept typing in Jeff Hard to come by, he was getting the wrestler Jeff Hart or something like that.
Jeff Hardy. He always calls me Jeff Hardy.
Hardy, that's it. So I was like, well, try just Hard to come by itself. But we're growing him. We're growing Jeff Hard to come by. Hey,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you all. I just reached 200 subscribers this past weekend.
All right,
thank y'all. And if you haven't subscribed to Jeff, hit that subscribe button. Click my link below and go hit me up on IG and on YouTube, please, and subscribe. Barbarian, bringing up all those good times. I will be on Gorilla Todd's show on Saturday. And hey, Just a Rican, thank you. Big supporter of the channel.
Thank you, Just a Rican. Appreciate it.
Yes, he's been a big supporter of ours. And Card Shop Reality, a friend of mine. He used to. I've often told the story that I owned the comic book stores back in 88 to 93. He was like a 10, 12-year-old customer of mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 30 years ago, he was a customer of mine. Now he owns a card shop in Northeast Louisiana.
That's awesome.
That is very awesome, isn't it? So, hey, thank you, Ryan, for tuning in. But keep an eye out with Gorilla Todd. We may have a pop-up auction sometime midweek, so you never know about that. I miss you too, Barbarian. We miss you in the community, buddy. Hopefully you're going to come and hang out with us more. Next week we will be on my channel and we'll be talking about cover variants. So this week we talked about price variants, and next week, thank you, Tony. We're going to talk about cover variants. So we'll be looking at cover variants through the history, starting with the very first cover variants that was put out in the 80s. Then we'll look at first, second, third, fourth print cover variants, and then try to make a little bit of sense of all these cover variants that we have today. Like 50-something different covers for a book. We'll try to make a little bit of sense out of it. And but either way, it should be fun. So
thank you, Card Shop. I appreciate it. Thunder God, always thank you for that, man. But again, thank you everyone for staying with us. We'll see you next time. Shelby, get us out of here.
All right. Hey, remember, guys and gals, it's tough out there, but please try to be good to one another. But most of all, remember, peace, love, and comics. Thank you all. Bye.
See y'all.